Welcome to the Trailer Island podcast. Hey, how are we going, everybody?
My ears are feeling very insecure right now. Very anxious.
What?
My ears.
What did you say?
My ears.
What?
My ears.
Your peers?
Let's do the podcast.
Okay. We are the Trailer Island podcast where we compare films and their trailers. Did the film deliver what the trailer promised? And we're stuck on this wild tropical island and all we've got to do is talk about trailers and their movies.
It's not a hard life, really.
It's not too bad.
Nah.
The lack of water and food and care and compassion.
I miss my dentist.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
I miss my teeth.
Yeah.
I really miss those.
Yeah.
Did you just try and pluralize the word teeth to teeths?
No, I definitely did not.
Oh, okay.
No.
Maybe I'm hearing
I might
things.
look like a fool.
I see, maybe I'm hearing things.
It works. Yeah.
Sound.
So who
Yeah.
are you?
So I'm Alex, and I'm joined this week by
Matthew.
And Steve.
and Steve. As always, every Wednesday, a new episode for you on the Trailer Island podcast. And this week we did the Australia month. That's all behind us now. The last 4 episodes, if you're catching up to this into the future, the last 4 episodes have been Australian film specials. And this week we're back into the regular realm, aren't we? Of streaming.
Yeah. No, yes, this is in fact a film that was affected by COVID, I believe, in its release. So I was reading about that today. It was meant to come out much sooner, but thankfully we live in a world where the internet exists, and Amazon have snapped this one up, and so you can watch it on there, as indeed we have. Yes, sorry, I don't know why I just gave a plug to Amazon there, but there you go, it's happened now.
It's great.
If you'd like to provide us with a free membership, we will plug you even more.
Jeff Bezos, you're so handsome.
Who would like to introduce the film this week?
Because I suggested it. I'll go.
Yes.
This week we're talking about Sound of Metal.
You sound great.
Yeah, right.
What? You telling me you weren't feeling it? You were in it.
We
don't need to put them all out.
I know, but we just need to film.
Your hearing is deteriorating rapidly.
We'll come back. Till then, Lou, we just keep going, okay?
No.
Lou,
No.
let's play tomorrow. Let's see what it's like, okay? I'm gonna be like a click track. You can play to me.
You have to understand, your first responsibility is to preserve the hearing you have.
I can't hear you. Do you understand me? I can't. I'm deaf. I'm deaf.
I found a place.
I think it's important that you stay here with us right now, Ruben. We're looking for a solution to this. Not this.
I need you to wait for me. Okay? You're it for me, Lou. You're my heart. You're it for me. Okay? You gotta wait for me.
Trying to save my life.
Ruben, the world does keep moving. It can be a damn cruel place. But those moments of stillness, when this crappy, mundane world suddenly becomes radiant and magnificent. All the fear is gone. That place will never abandon you.
So hard to watch that trailer. Like it makes me emotional.
Yeah, I have to admit, having now seen the film, that brought back a lot of stuff in the movie that is quite... I want to use the word confronting, perhaps.
Well, the trailer doesn't give away too much, does it?
No,
would we agree?
The final scene is in that trailer.
It is,
Yeah.
yes. It's very
We're
strange.
not going to tell you which one it is.
No.
The very final, almost the final shot,
Yeah.
is in that trailer.
I think my favourite thing about that trailer, well, two things actually, is firstly it represents how good the sound design in this film is. Just in that trailer, how you can sort of, I don't want to say the word here, but experience things from his point of view when he's going deaf and as his hearing is diminishing. And then the other thing is it has that kind of horror vibe, which I imagine imagine it is horrifying to lose your hearing. And I love how that trailer does have a kind of horror film vibe to it. I kind of like that. It sets it up quite nicely.
I think it's odd that it certainly doesn't provide a condensed version of the plot or narrative, but thematically that trailer is sort of beat for beat, excuse the pun, everything that film is about.
Yeah. Now let's not jump too far ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about what the film is about. So our main character, Ruben, is a drummer in a heavy metal band or hard rock band. I'm not quite sure what they are, to be honest.
they seem sort of industrial, experimental,
A little bit.
something like that.
He basically, he goes deaf, and suddenly his whole world falls apart because of that, as you can imagine, especially for a musician.
And they're a traveling duo. They're not big. They're in a camper van, an RV.
They don't have lots of money or anything like that.
And they're just sort of touring around the States doing probably shows to maybe 100 people. So they're not massive, but they're a heavy metal experimental. And one night, which happens in the trailer, he sort of goes outside and the world starts to change for him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's scary.
That transition is terrifying. Him initially coming to terms with it is just horrific.
It's not a happy film for the most part, I think.
I disagree.
I should say it's quite an intense drama.
Yeah.
Perhaps like it's not. This isn't Tom Hanks in Castaway. This is a little more intense than that. I think there was a sense of claustrophobia in this movie that was very deliberate and very well done.
This is probably one of the best films I've seen, probably since, oddly enough, Whiplash.
Now, I haven't seen Whiplash, so
Whiplash
unfortunately,
is terrific.
is it a? I guess I don't even
It's
know.
once again a drumming film, but it seems to just nail these. There's something about drumming films and character dramas that seem to go together really, really well.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. It's very strange. And I Whiplash also came to my mind when I was watching this, thinking, how many films can they make about drummers which sounds like it would be simple, but are actually really involved and really complex?
Is it perhaps that we sort of see drummers as that stereotype? They bang things and and we don't really sort of go.
Well, actually,
But they have emotions, if you will.
Well, no, it is the emotions, and funnily enough, I think the one thing that is a correlation between those two films is how intense the two drummers are and how much they care about their craft.
Yeah.
So in Whiplash, the main character is almost obsessed with he wants to be just the best drummer, and he gives it his all, probably, too far. Anyway, that's a different discussion, Whiplash. But this film, again, Ruben is very, very passionate about what he does, which is why his whole world falls apart when suddenly he can't hear what he's doing. Music is his life, basically.
And Steve, you say it's probably the best film that you've seen in a while. Why?
Again, it hits those character notes so well, and I have a real soft spot for character dramas about a character that needs to come to terms with something and refuses to do so, and the refusal to do so is set up, so well in this film that throughout this first half of this film, you're given illustrations as to why music and drumming is so important to Ruben and to his girlfriend Louise. You can see there's so much emotional baggage there, these layered characters, and when drumming is taken away from him, and Ruben is taken to the deaf people home to learn to sign, it's fish out of water. It's uncomfortable because you can sense the uncomfortableness for Ruben. Mm-hmm. And then without getting into the ending so too deeply, the ultimate closure on a chapter of Ruben's life and the opening a new one is done so well.
It's a transition film, isn't it, for him?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
He goes through quite a transition. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And without spoiling anything, I think the ending left a lot more questions than answers for me about where he goes from there, which I didn't have a problem with. I thought that was fine.
I did, but not in the sense that it ruined the film for me. it is hard. I don't want to ruin the end, actually. It is hard to talk about. But I thought, let's just say there were some loose ends that I wanted to know. Like, well, okay, but what happened with this thing or that thing? I just kind of, part of me was like, no, maybe because I was so invested in his character by the end, like, I just wanted something good to happen to him after all of that. I was like, I would like to know.
Technically, something good did happen to him in the end.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. It's hard to discuss, obviously. A few loose ends I thought that I would have liked to type.
He was an interesting character because I guess we wouldn't have a film if he just did what we think he should have done.
Well, yeah. And I also would say that he's actually not that likable, at least in the first half of the movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that it's very traumatizing losing your hearing, but he's not very endearing to begin with. I found that I took pity on him, obviously, but I wasn't exactly rooting for him. My thoughts were more, why can't you listen to these medical professionals for the benefit of your health? Like, listen to all these people who know what they're talking about. I kind of got annoyed that he always wanted to find his own solution. Like, he wanted to take control. Yeah. And I get, like, it's great writing, it's great character writing, but I found that at the same time, I was more relating to the people trying to help him rather than him.
That's always going to be a problem in character dramas, because we can jump back to Whiplash. We can look at Miles Teller's character and go, why are you spending so much time on drumming for a teacher that constantly abuses you?
Yeah, yeah.
And I do get where you're coming from, where you're sort of rooting for the people helping the main character.
You want them to get through to him in a way, yeah.
The intrigue, the interest, the absolute emotional investment is going into Ruben in this film. And so when the third of this film happens, you're sort of on a roller coaster with him.
Oh, I would agree. I definitely came round by the end. But
he's definitely not meant to come off as likable either. He's making decisions that he feels are best for the life he has with Lou.
Yes.
Yeah, you might not agree with them.
Albeit the choices that he makes are frustrating. They're not surprising, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Now, this is a concept as a film that I have seen before, made a different discipline, but there was a film called It's All Gone Pete Tong, which is about a DJ that becomes deaf and how he goes about rekindling the life that he had as a global megastar as a DJ. And I felt that was a different way of dealing with the problem. And I was thinking, is this going to go the same way? And I would say that film is a lot more flashy and a bit more Hollywood. It's a British film.
Right.
And it also is fantastic because this guy goes through hell to come out on the other side. And I think in this case with Ruben, he also is, I think he's almost living a hell before, before this all comes to a head.
Well, that opening shot of him at the drum kit is very intense. And I'm assuming just by his performance, he's got a lot going on just in his head, I think. He's a bit like, I guess, a bit like a wounded animal. You're not quite sure if he's going to lash out at any point. But like I said, that feeds in again to you wanting to see, well, how's he going to behave in this situation? Or for me, there was the trailer led me astray slightly in that there are a few shots in the trailer of him helping deaf kids and drumming with them because they feel the vibrations and they just by sight. And I thought the film was actually going to be about him learning to help others. And the film isn't about that. But I found that the trailer, because I had that preconceived notion in my mind as I was watching, I thought, okay, but this film's trajectory is very different to that. I can't see him going to join UNICEF or something, and setting up a drummer course to help kids. It took me a while to realize, okay, that's not what the film's going to be. And as a result, I think I missed a bit of the arc because I thought it was going in one direction, but in fact, it was going in a different one. And I think the trailer led me astray on that a little bit.
Well, that is a lovely part of the film that you touch on, which I guess is the second act where he goes to a school for people who are deaf, recently deaf as well, and him going through the motions of trying to understand this new affliction that he's facing. It's actually it's a very challenging part of the film to watch, but there's a character, Joe, he meets who runs the school.
He is
who's a Vietnam vet. He lost his hearing when a bomb went off next to his head, and he has now found solitude in helping others. And you're right, Matthew, where the film sort of gives you this idea, okay, this is what his new purpose is going to be, as the trailer suggests, but it doesn't quite go that way, does it? But you do see moments of him realising the good that he could bring to the world.
Yeah, like, of course, the film goes in a different direction. A Bond villain turns up as the father of his,
his
girlfriend. The
knew
villain
you
from...
got that.
I can't say his name because it's French and I struggle with that. I don't know if you can help me.
Which Bond film?
He's in Quantum of Solace. He plays Mr. Green.
Mathieu Ulmerich.
I reckon that's pretty close.
Mathieu. It's just French Matthew. Mathieu.
Mathieu Lamarique.
Amalric.
I thought he was really good in this as the father of his girlfriend, and they have a wonderful discussion. He's like, "Oh, when I first met you, I didn't like you because you're a heavy metal drummer. I mean, what's to like from like a father's point of view?" And I thought that was another instance of Ruben being shown, I don't know, a little bit of unexpected empathy, perhaps.
Yeah.
A little more insight.
It's almost as if he doesn't know how to deal with compassion.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
I think his character does come full circle on a lot of things, and I think we'll leave it up to the viewer to discover those things.
I would strongly recommend watching this. This is a great film.
Now this and perhaps for some people it might come with a bit of a trigger warning, because for me, if I can share a personal story, is that a couple of years ago I started to notice that I had a dull ringing in my ears. I'm thinking, oh God, what is this? And the first couple of nights I was just like, my life is over. Like there's nothing I can do about this. And you go and see surgeons, specialists who go, and basically the answer is there's nothing that you can do about this, which turns out to be tinnitus, just a dull ringing in my ears all the time. And then this character himself has to deal with that. And of course it's portrayed on screen as that. And you sort of go like, I turned to my wife at the time. I was like, I'm actually having a little bit of trouble with this because this is quite confronting. Same as like, I don't think I want to watch Baby Driver again because that character has that same affliction and it's shown out throughout the film. Like, I don't know if this is happening in the movie or it's happening in my head right now. Like, there are a few moments throughout the film where you touched up earlier, Matthew, on the sound design. And I sort of turned to my wife and said, can you hear much at the moment? Like, is there much going on? She's like, no, I can't. That is what's going on at the moment. So the dynamic range, I guess, if you want to put a technical term on it, but the switch that the film does to give you real perspective and Ruben's perspective is really well done.
Very well done. Some of the best sound design I think I've heard. It's very subtle in places, and in other places much more aggressive. Like they played that just nicely, the balance throughout the whole film. Yeah.
I think even despite hearing issues aside, like when they're doing the rock music act, I was like, it kind of hurts my ears a bit to listen to this. And they must have done that deliberately just to show the self-inflicted damage that these people are doing to themselves. Take your hearing seriously, people.
Especially for drummers as well. Like that's...
Oh, God, yeah. So I got a fun fact.
Fun fact.
I really, really love fun facts.
I need to get a little sound for your fun fact.
We should, shouldn't we? Yes,
it would be handy because otherwise I'm not sure. I mean, I've got a couple here.
Yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh,
maybe that would
perfect.
work. I don't know.
Oh, welcome to the fun fact territory.
Can you say you've got a fun fact again?
I have a fun fact.
Yeah. But that works as well.
That's perfect. It keeps going. Oh, that's right. I can do it over that. Just let it roll. That's
Sorry. Yeah.
now the actor who plays Ruben, who's also in Rogue One,
Riz Ahmed.
him, very good. He didn't know how to play drums or sign language before doing this film.
Oh, really?
And he learnt to play drums and he learnt sign language over a period of about 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
And so all his drumming and sign language is accurate in this movie. It's all him.
Does anyone else want to learn sign language now?
I kind of do.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Did anyone else find themselves like doing the movements of when they're learning through the sign language?
I didn't.
Because I did. I was sat there. I'm like, ooh, I can do that, and the thing, and the thank you, and the A, B, C. No, and then I'm lost. But I think there's different. Sign language is not universal.
It's depending on country. There's Australian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that must be maddening, just stupidly unhelpful.
I think they're quite similar in some regards, but they do differ country to country. I think.
Huh. There you go.
I think American Sign Language is probably the most well known.
Right.
Yeah. What's your fun fact?
No, that was my fun fact, was how much effort he went to.
Oh, I didn't
for
have
this.
fun with that fact at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought. Did you think that was fun?
I mean, I don't know. Like Steve's reaction seems to be more.
Yeah. I thought that was fun.
That's fair. It's a very good trombone
I need to
player.
get more sound effects on here.
Thank you, Captain.
Yeah. Oh, Matthew, you're staring into the distance. It's okay. That was a fun fact. I should actually just get you saying fun fact and make it into one of my hotkeys here.
Yes, why not? Why
That
not?
would be good.
Yes.
I just want to point out my favorite scene in this movie.
Yes.
Something I want to do every week now. Just point out my favorite scene.
Okay.
Okay, and I just before you start, I think if we're going to do that, you have to say your favorite thing, obviously, and why, but then something that you didn't like.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite scene in this was when Lou and Ruben are sitting in that diner, and they're trying to get in touch with Ruben's sponsor because he's a
Former addict.
He's a former addict, and he is. Riz Ahmed's acting in this is so good because you can see that Ruben's so close to the precipice, like he's so close to cracking and taking drugs or whatever you want to call it, a recess
Breakdown, recess, yeah.
Yeah, he's getting so close to that, and so the calls to his sponsor are just so desperate at that stage, and they're like, we need help. Ruben needs help. Can you find someone to help us, please? You need help. And Ruben steps outside and he, has a cigarette and comes back inside, and he instantly gets questioned by his sponsor. He's like, have you just had a cigarette? Because it's such a slippery slope for him,
right?
This addictive behavior, and it's almost. You think it's the lowest point for a character, but that scene is like 20 minutes into the film. And
Yeah.
I think relapse is the word.
relapse is the one.
Is the word that you're looking for. And a scene you didn't particularly like.
Not necessarily a scene, but just something that maybe irked you thought could have been done better.
That's a good question.
See, for me, I felt maybe some of the character development wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, and maybe that was deliberate. Like I touched on it before, where he just made some decisions or said some things that I just felt were just a bit far fetched for a person to do.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
I don't
okay.
really have one. I think
That's fine.
this whole film. Okay, if it there are some really good emotional points in this film, and I feel like even though they lent in them quite hard, they could have lent into them a little harder.
Okay.
And I actually suspect it might be the fact that music in this film doesn't exist.
It's fairly limited, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can't punch up those moments with a bit of, nice orchestral stuff or on theme, a nice like drum solo. It's literally two characters speaking in a room, one disappoints another, and that's the extent of it. And you do feel it.
Story of my life.
It's the story of this podcast.
I think we'd agree that the trailer was again a fairly good representation.
Yeah.
With a few misgivings, perhaps.
A few misgivings, but I should say on that point though, the trailer definitely made me want to see the film, and I knew what I was in for. I think more, a few plot points were different. I thought it was going to go in a different direction, but I knew what the premise was, and it was pretty accurate to that.
I had an odd one of this because every time I talked about this film with other people, their first question was, "Oh, is that based on a book?"
Actually, yes. No, someone's mentioned that to me as well. As I said, we're going to, they say, what are you going to do next on the podcast?
And it's not. It's not.
And it's not. The one I got was, is it based on a true story?
Yeah,
And
because it sounds like a true story.
It does sound like one of the, like we did, Lion last week, which is an incredible true story. So you can kind of imagine, it's not beyond the realms of plausibility, but it says this is a work of fiction. Probably obviously based on, I'm sure someone's been in this situation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
At some point.
I just thought that's an odd question I kept on getting talking about this film.
I don't know if anyone picked it up as well, like the name of the film, Sound of Metal. Did anyone pick up what there
With
might
the slide.
actually be a different meaning?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
A meaning behind that. We won't go into it, but there might be a different. That's for the listener at home to discover themselves.
He's definitely not talking about that sort of music he was playing, that's for sure.
All right, so out of 5, what? 4 on the floors.
5.
We could just do it out of 5.
I agree.
What?
I would love to do out of 5.
5.
That's great. All right.
Okay,
We all agree.
I'm going to get mine out of the way with early because we all know what it's going to be. It's 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Five, how many? 5?
It's 5.
Thank you for clearing
me,
that up.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't fault this film much at all. I hope it wins all the awards it can. I hope it comes out on Blu-ray. I hope I can own a copy of this film that I can whack in the Blu-ray player at any stage. Yeah, I really do adore this film.
Okay. No,
I think we might have found an early contender for Steve's film of the year, potentially.
Yeah, I think so.
Potentially.
So I would agree with pretty much everything that we've all said tonight about this movie. I was quite mesmerised by it. My only real complaint is I think at 2 hours it could be a little shorter. I do think the second act drags a little bit, but it didn't break the film for me. My biggest issue was really from that trailer. I thought it was really going to go in a different direction than it did. However, that doesn't mean the direction it does go in is a bad one. It's a very interesting film, well worth watching. It is. It's 5 out of 5 for me.
I'm going to go with 4.5 because I think some of the points that Matt made about maybe being a bit long, a bit too drawn out, does take off that half a mark for me. But I did find myself just sitting there and almost drawn towards the screen. And I think that was really engaging, and perhaps also because it gave me a bit of a trigger with my own personal hearing, you know. But yeah, so I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5.
Amazing.
Good rating. Yeah.
Amazing. That's
I hope we're not
terrific.
playing into that too much.
I hope not. I think, we'll let it rest now, I think. But yeah, no, it's good.
So is that a sneaky 14.5
Oh, yeah.
out of
It is.
15? That is pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Is that the best we've done
This year, maybe.
Well,
We did have
there's-
a pretty disappointing February, that's for damn sure.
Whoa! Steve, you leave Australian films alone. They're battlers, mate.
You leave those larrikins alone.
I will. They're the worst enemy anyway. So.
Hey, look, we've been the Trailer Island Podcast. You can send in your request to us via the website. Also, email contact@trailerisland.com.au. There's a Facebook page, and you can send us requests through there. There's a Twitter and an Instagram. I don't know.
There's all the things.
There's all the things. And if you've got a film that you want us to do, streaming or on the big screen, send us a message.
Please do. Really nice to hear from you.
Yeah. We like you guys. You're an excellent audience. You give us all the things, which is fantastic.
They've never heckled.
No. You know, I have been thinking about doing a live show at some point.
Oh, that would be great.
And that brings me a concern, but I feel like it might be great.
We can do a live show, but only if I can sit in the crowd and heckle.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Yes.
Why not? Maybe I can add it to one of my my sound buttons that I've got. Just pre-record heckles from you, Steve.
Yeah.
Maybe that would work.
I think so.
Okay. Great. Right, well, that was 14.5 out of 15 for Sound of Metal on Amazon Prime. You can catch us every Wednesday with a new episode. And I've been Alex. I've been joined by
Matthew.
Olivia Cook.
We'll see you on the next week of the next episode of the Trailer on Podcast. Good night.
Bye.
This is a Narrative Network podcast.